Hi, this is Richard Fields with this week's Report from the Fields. In real Tom Clancy spy thriller action, Nicolas Maduro, the socialist despot running Venezuela, and his wife have been captured by deep state military and intelligence operatives and whisked to jail cells in New York City. What's not to like? A socialist dictator who has led his country further into economic and human rights despair than even his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, has been removed from power. The oil field assets expropriated from American oil companies years ago can now be returned to their rightful owners. With more oil production coming from Venezuela, the price of gas will go down. Well, let's see. We can start by pointing out that Trump's entire Venezuela operation, from killing people, supposedly trafficking drugs in speedboats, to the kidnapping of a foreign leader, is unconstitutional. Breaking things, taking prisoners, and killing people internationally is otherwise known as war. Only Congress can declare war. Trump's legal pretexts for going to war without congressional approval are laughably lame. Trump says he's going to run Venezuela. Post-World War II, the U.S. has a long and lamentable history of running other countries. Korea is still split between two rulerships, communist in the north and crony capitalist in the south. We indisputably lost in our interventions in Iran, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. Kosovo, Haiti, and Bosnia and Herzegovina are in no better shape than when we intervened. Libya and Ukraine are worse off. Fact is, our interventions have either been outright failures or not worth the blood and money we've spent on them. There's little to suggest that Venezuela will be any different. The only beneficiary of U.S. meddling in other countries has been the U.S. offense industry. Military contractors have done very nicely, thank you. One country where we did not intervene, Argentina, has figured out on its own the correct way to build a peaceful and prosperous civilization. Get government out of the way. We should be taking notes. Speaking of running Venezuela, Trump ruled out the obvious Venezuelan people's choice. Maria Corina Machado won a proxy vote in the last election. Despite that popular support, Trump claims she does not have the respect or support within Venezuela to be the leader, but he called her a very nice woman. More likely, it's Nobel envy. She got the Nobel Peace Prize that he coveted. Machado's views are largely libertarian. Instead, Trump named Delcy Rodriguez, vice president under Maduro, as the interim president. And who is Rodriguez? She's allegedly profoundly corrupt. She's an ideological leftist. It started early when her socialist father died in custody in connection with the kidnapping of American businessmen. As VP under Maduro, she was in charge of Venezuela's oil industry. To say that the oil industry in Venezuela has been in decline under her leadership would be an understatement. The reality is that the best and brightest have been leaving Venezuela ever since Hugo Chavez came to power. They've had a brain drain similar to that experienced by England during their socialist rule pre-Thatcher. Machado, a true patriot, stayed until very recently. Reports that oil companies will get back their concessions has been largely refuted by oil companies, expressing profound disinterest in going back to Venezuela, starting with the CEO of ExxonMobil. The Trump administration claimed that U.S. control of Venezuelan oil production will lower the price of oil to $25 per barrel, has further disincentivized big oil. Assuming American takeover of another country in our hemisphere will not have global repercussions is seriously diluted. Russia has been encouraged to go full speed ahead with its takeover of Ukraine. China will be even more encouraged to pursue its designs on Taiwan. After all, they have a common language and culture, something that the U.S. and Venezuela lack. And therein lies the larger risk: nuclear war. Right now, Trump and the U.S. military and intelligence deep state operatives are feeling very macho. But Venezuela is not Russia or China. Russia and China have hypersonic missiles. We don't. China controls the vast majority of rare earth mineral mining and refining. We don't. Rare earth minerals are essential for modern weaponry. We don't have the drone warfare capabilities that Russia and China have. Our vaunted aircraft carrier groups, World War II technology, are ripe targets for hypersonic missiles. It's kind of like France, depending on the Maginot Line. World War I technology to fight World War II. Didn't work out for them. All it took to start World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. That was the spark that set off long-term grievances between various European alliances. There are a lot of long-term grievances between countries in the world today. Trump's actions in Venezuela demonstrate that he has the bull in a china shop mentality to provide a spark for World War III. If that happens, the Atlantic and Pacific moats will no longer insulate us from being part of the battleground. California, in particular, could be an early target. We have 79 military bases and facilities. They range from Naval Base San Diego, home of the Pacific Fleet, to the Marines Camp Pendleton, also near San Diego, to Fort Irwin Army Base in the Mojave, to Edwards and Beale Air Force bases, to the Vandenberg Space Force Base. Trump's little spy thriller caper in Venezuela could have horrendous results. Meanwhile, Congress sits on its derriere and refuses to claim its power to declare war. That's this week's report from the fields. See you again next week, hopefully.